Stop! Before you picture a Tyrannosaurus Rex, before you imagine a towering Brachiosaurus, I need you to completely erase everything you think you know about the first dinosaur. Because the creature that started it all, it wasn't a monster. It wasn't a giant. It was a terrified 20-pound animal that could fit in your bathtub, and it was absolutely pathetic. While massive crocodile-like predators ruled the earth with iron jaws, this tiny creature was just trying to survive another day without being eaten. Yet somehow, impossibly, this insignificant little animal's descendants would go on to dominate every corner of the planet for 186 million years. So how did the weakest creature in the room become the most powerful dynasty Earth has ever seen? That's the story nobody tells you, and it's way more incredible than you think. If you want to witness the greatest underdog story in the history of life itself, smash that like button and subscribe right now, because what I'm about to show you will completely change how you see dinosaurs forever. Let's go back 230 million years to where it all began. When the curtain rose on the Triassic period about 252 million years ago, Earth wasn't exactly rolling out the welcome mat for new life. The planet had just survived the Permian extinction, the most catastrophic die-off in history, where 96% of all marine species and 70% of terrestrial life simply vanished. What remained was a hostile, unforgiving wasteland that would make the Sahara Desert look like a botanical garden. Imagine standing on the supercontinent of Pangaea. If you could view it from space, you'd see a massive, C-shaped landmass entirely surrounded by the world ocean, Panthalassa. But beauty from space meant brutality on the ground. The interior of Pangaea was a furnace. Daytime temperatures regularly exceeded 104 degrees, while nights plunged into bone-chilling cold. Rain was a stranger here. Vast deserts stretched beyond the horizon, their cracked earth resembling shattered pottery baked under a merciless sun. Only the hardiest plants survived. Stubborn ferns and ancient conifers clinging to existence in scattered patches. This wasn't a world waiting for dinosaurs to arrive and flourish. This was a gladiatorial arena where only the toughest, meanest, and most adaptable creatures had any chance of seeing tomorrow. The animal kingdom during the early Triassic was a bizarre menagerie that would look utterly alien to us today. Primitive crocodile relatives called archosaurs prowled the landscape with powerful builds and devastating jaws. Strange, bulky reptiles called therapsids, distant cousins of mammals, competed aggressively for resources. In the skies, early pterosaur ancestors were just learning the mechanics of flight through brutal trial and error. In the waters, primitive sharks shared space with emerging marine reptiles that looked like they were designed by a committee of nightmares. And somewhere in this chaotic world, hiding in the shadows of more dominant creatures, cowering behind rocks and vegetation, were the first dinosaurs. They weren't waiting to take over. They were just trying not to die. Here's what might surprise you. No, scratch that. Here's what will shock you. The first dinosaurs were utterly, completely, embarrassingly unremarkable. They weren't towering behemoths or fearsome predators. They were small, lightweight, and frankly, pretty pathetic in the grand scheme of things. Many barely reached the size of a modern golden retriever, weighing less than 40 pounds, with slender legs built for one primary purpose: running away from danger as fast as their scrawny legs could carry them. The Triassic world already had its established power players, its apex predators, its heavy hitters. And dinosaurs were definitely not among them. The real bosses were the Rauisuchians. Massive, crocodile-like predators stretching 20 feet long with powerful jaws capable of crushing bone and muscular frames that made them the undisputed apex predators of their time. These were the creatures that owned the Triassic. These were the monsters that made other animals flee in terror. And the first dinosaurs? They were on the menu. Alongside the Rauisuchians scurried tiny primitive mammals, emerging from burrows only under cover of darkness to hunt insects and avoid becoming prey themselves. Even these furry underdogs seemed to have a better strategy than the early dinosaurs. So what chance did these scrawny little reptilian newcomers have against established titans that had been perfecting their killing techniques for millions of years? The answer lies in 3 revolutionary adaptations that seemed minor at the time, almost insignificant really, but would eventually change the entire trajectory of life on Earth. First, dinosaurs evolved an upright stance with legs positioned directly beneath their bodies, unlike the sprawling posture of crocodiles and lizards. This might sound boring, but it was revolutionary. It meant they could run faster and farther without their bellies dragging on the ground, conserving precious energy in an environment where every calorie counted and wasting energy meant death. Second, they developed an advanced respiratory system with air sacs similar to modern birds, allowing for efficient one-way airflow through their lungs. In the oxygen-depleted, carbon dioxide-rich atmosphere of the Triassic, this was like having a turbocharger while everyone else was running on regular fuel. They could keep going when other animals had to stop and gasp for breath. Third, their bones evolved to be hollow yet remarkably strong, a feat of natural engineering that seems almost impossible. Lightweight enough to permit quick acceleration but sturdy enough to support their bodies during long chases or sudden escapes. This skeletal architecture would later allow dinosaurs to grow to sizes that would have been physically impossible with solid bones. At the time, these advantages simply helped dinosaurs survive day to day. They weren't dominating anything. They were just not dying as quickly as they could have. But unbeknownst to anyone, unbeknownst even to the forces of evolution itself, these adaptations were laying the groundwork for total planetary domination. Around 231 million years ago, in what we now call Argentina, a small creature darted through low vegetation, its keen eyes scanning nervously for anything edible, and more importantly, for anything that might find it edible. Meet Eoraptor, the dawn thief, barely 3 feet long, and weighing a modest 20 pounds, about the same as a small beagle. Look at this creature honestly. It wasn't impressive. It wasn't intimidating. If you saw it today, you'd probably try to pet it before realizing it might bite you. But Eoraptor had one critical advantage. It was the ultimate survivor. With its peculiar mix of sharp teeth for meat and flat teeth for plants, Eoraptor was an omnivore that could eat insects, small lizards, tender shoots, seeds, and anything else it could fit in its mouth. When prey was scarce, it ate plants. When plants withered in the heat, it hunted bugs. This dietary flexibility was its superpower in a world where reliable food sources were a luxury nobody could afford. Eoraptor's slender, upright legs gave it something more valuable than size or strength: speed. When larger predators appeared on the horizon, Eoraptor didn't stand and fight some heroic battle. It simply disappeared into the brush like smoke. Survival wasn't about glory. It was about living to see another sunrise. This humble, unimpressive creature represents one of the earliest branches on the dinosaur family tree, a direct ancestor of giants that would one day shake the earth with every footstep. Sharing the same South American landscape was a relative of Eoraptor that chose a very different path. Herrerasaurus stretched about 10 feet in length and weighed up to 40 pounds, practically a giant by early Triassic standards, though still small enough to be prey for the real apex predators. With an elongated skull packed with blade-like teeth and powerful jaws that could clamp down with vice-like force, Herrerasaurus was among the first true dinosaurian predators. Its forelimbs bore sharp, curved talons perfect for grasping and slashing prey. When Herrerasaurus charged at full speed, smaller animals and rival reptiles alike learned to fear that distinctive silhouette. Interestingly, Herrerasaurus still displayed many transitional features, half one thing, half another, showing that evolution was actively experimenting with the dinosaur body plan, trying different configurations to see what worked. It stood at the evolutionary crossroads where dinosaurs were transforming from mere survivors into efficient hunters. But not all early dinosaurs were carnivores skulking through shadows and pouncing on prey. Around 214 million years ago in Europe, a completely different kind of pioneer emerged, Plateosaurus. At 30 feet long and weighing up to 8,800 pounds, Plateosaurus was a colossus compared to its contemporaries. This wasn't just big. This was huge. Imagine seeing something the size of a bus moving through the forest, and you're getting close to what other animals experienced when Plateosaurus appeared. With its elongated neck and teeth specialized for grinding vegetation rather than tearing flesh, Plateosaurus opened an entirely new ecological niche, the massive herbivore. Instead of competing with other predators for limited meat, it simply ate plants, which were everywhere, and grew absolutely enormous on that vegetarian diet. Remarkably versatile, Plateosaurus could walk on all fours for stability or rear up on its hind legs to reach high branches that other animals couldn't access. This flexibility foreshadowed the emergence of later super herbivores like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus. Plateosaurus proved that dinosaurs weren't limited to the predator-prey dynamic. They could dominate ecosystems through sheer size and efficient plant consumption. 3 pioneers, 3 completely different strategies, all dinosaurs, all setting the stage for what came next. For millions of years, tens of millions actually, dinosaurs remained supporting actors in a world dominated by other reptiles. They survived, they adapted, they carved out niches. But they didn't rule. The Rauisuchians still owned the top of the food chain. Other large reptiles still controlled the best territories. Dinosaurs were doing fine. But fine doesn't make history. Then, approximately 201 million years ago, everything changed in the most catastrophic way imaginable. The end Triassic extinction event struck with devastating force. Massive volcanic eruptions stretched across thousands of miles in what's now the Central Atlantic magmatic province, spewing greenhouse gases into the atmosphere for hundreds of thousands of years. Global temperatures spiked dramatically. Ocean chemistry changed so radically that waters turned acidic, suffocating marine life. Forests died. Food chains collapsed. Countless species of primitive reptiles, including the mighty Rauisuchians who had dominated for so long, simply vanished from the fossil record, erased from existence as if they'd never been there at all. It was the end of the world as they knew it. But dinosaurs survived. Thanks to their efficient respiratory systems that could function in low-oxygen environments, their lightweight skeletons that required less food to maintain, and their metabolic flexibility that let them adapt to changing conditions, dinosaurs weathered the catastrophe that eliminated their competitors. While giants fell all around them, these insignificant creatures kept breathing, kept eating, kept reproducing. And when the smoke cleared and the skies brightened again, dinosaurs found themselves standing on an empty stage with virtually no competition. The bullies were gone. The apex predators had vanished. The prime territories were unclaimed. The Jurassic period had begun, and dinosaurs were about to claim their throne, not through conquest, but through simple survival and opportunity. The supercontinent Pangaea began fragmenting, creating smaller landmasses with extensive coastlines. The climate transformed dramatically, less arid, more rainfall, and most significantly, vast forests began spreading across the continents like green waves. Ferns, conifers, and towering cycads created dense green worlds. Rivers flowed, lakes formed. For herbivorous dinosaurs, this was paradise, and they grew, and grew, and grew. Diplodocus stretched to 89 feet in length, its whip-like tail capable of breaking the sound barrier when swung at full force and delivering devastating strikes to predators. Brachiosaurus towered over 40 feet tall, its head reaching heights equivalent to a 4-story building, casually browsing on vegetation no other creature could reach. Apatosaurus, weighing many tons, moved through forests like living fortresses, their herds leaving paths of devastation in their wake, flattening vegetation and creating clearings simply by walking through. These weren't just animals anymore. They were geological forces reshaping ecosystems with every step, terraforming the planet simply by existing. Where giant herbivores thrived, giant predators inevitably followed. Nature abhors a vacuum, and all that walking meat was too tempting to ignore. Allosaurus, stretching over 33 feet in length with a massive skull and serrated teeth like steak knives designed by a sadist, became the apex predator of its time. Unlike the solitary hunters of earlier periods, Allosaurus demonstrated sophisticated pack hunting behavior, coordinating attacks with terrifying intelligence to bring down prey many times larger than themselves. An evolutionary arms race had begun, and there was no stopping it. Herbivores evolved larger sizes and defensive armor, plates, spikes, clubs, anything to avoid becoming lunch. Carnivores evolved greater speed, strength, and intelligence to overcome those defenses. Stegosaurus appeared with its distinctive backplates and tail armed with spikes, a walking arsenal that could shatter bone with a single swing. Pterosaurs with wingspans stretching dozens of feet dominated the skies, ruling the air as dinosaurs ruled the land. Marine reptiles like plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs conquered the oceans, becoming the aquatic equivalent of T-Rex. The Jurassic was a world where giants walked, flew, and swam everywhere you looked. From pole to pole, coast to coast, dinosaurs had become the dominant form of life. The underdogs had won. As the Jurassic gave way to the Cretaceous period around 145 million years ago, dinosaurs entered their absolute prime, the most spectacular and diverse phase of their reign. If the Jurassic was their coronation, the Cretaceous was their golden age of total domination. Pangaea continued fragmenting at an accelerating pace. The Atlantic Ocean widened significantly. South America separated from Africa, creating an entire ocean between them. North America drifted away from Europe. Massive inland seas formed, carving continents into smaller, isolated regions. Each isolated landmass became its own evolutionary laboratory, producing unique dinosaur species found nowhere else, like the Galapagos Islands, but continent-sized. The climate remained generally warm and humid, but the most significant change was botanical. Flowering plants, angiosperms, appeared and spread explosively across the globe. This floral revolution created entirely new food sources, new habitats, new ecological relationships. It transformed ecosystems worldwide and gave herbivorous dinosaurs even more fuel to grow larger. And the dinosaurs that emerged during this period, they're the legends we know and love today. They're the ones that haunt our imaginations. Tyrannosaurus rex, the ultimate apex predator, combining raw power with devastating bite force measured at over 12,000 pounds per square inch. A single bite could pulverize bone, crush a car, end any creature that walked the earth. It was essentially a living wrecking ball with teeth. Triceratops, the three-horned herbivore with its massive bony frill, perfectly evolved to battle tyrannosaurs in epic confrontations that must have been absolutely spectacular to witness. Velociraptor, small, swift, and unnervingly intelligent, forever immortalized in popular culture as the clever girl that could open doors and hunt in coordinated packs. Spinosaurus, the longest known carnivorous dinosaur, a semi-aquatic giant that hunted in rivers and swamps, looking like a crocodile mixed with a sailback dragon from mythology. The diversity was staggering. Compared to the Jurassic, Cretaceous dinosaurs showed extreme specialization, each species exquisitely adapted to its specific environment and lifestyle. There were dinosaurs for every possible niche: deserts, forests, swamps, coastlines, mountains, plains. If there was an environment, there was a dinosaur perfectly evolved to dominate it. Let's pause for a moment and truly appreciate the perspective here, because the evolutionary journey from Eoraptor to T-Rex is almost incomprehensible. The transformation is so extreme, it almost seems like fantasy. Eoraptor, 3 feet long, 20 pounds, eating whatever it could find, running from everything larger than itself, just trying to survive another day. Tyrannosaurus rex, 40 feet long, 16,000 plus pounds, with jaws that could crush a car and nothing on the entire planet capable of threatening it. The undisputed king of its domain. Same family tree, same evolutionary lineage, unimaginable transformation. Plateosaurus, 30 feet long, 8,800 pounds, awkwardly moving between two-legged and four-legged postures, with a relatively unspecialized body plan that was still figuring things out. Brachiosaurus, 40 plus feet tall, 80,120,000 pounds, with a heart weighing hundreds of pounds just to pump blood to its towering head, perfectly optimized for high browsing with every aspect of its anatomy designed for its lifestyle. Herrerasaurus, 10 feet long, 440 pounds, capable of bringing down only small prey through opportunistic hunting, still half experimenting with the predator lifestyle. Allosaurus, 30-40 feet long, 4,000 plus pounds, sophisticated enough to coordinate pack hunts against gigantic herbivores, working together with tactical intelligence. If you encountered Eoraptor in real life, you'd probably think it looked like an oversized, weird chicken with teeth. You might laugh at it. You might try to catch it as a pet. Yet that chicken was the ancestor of creatures that would make modern elephants look like house cats. That's the power of evolution given enough time. It can transform the pathetic into the legendary. For nearly 186 million years, let that number sink in for a moment, dinosaurs ruled Earth with absolute authority. From the scorched wastelands of the Triassic, where they started as nobodies, to the lush forests of the Jurassic, where they became giants, to the spectacular diversity of the Cretaceous, where they perfected their dominance, they were the undisputed champions of terrestrial life. They occupied every conceivable ecological niche. They grew to sizes never seen before or since. They developed armor that could stop any attack, weapons that could kill any enemy, complex social behaviors that rivaled modern mammals, and sophisticated hunting strategies that would make military tacticians jealous. They conquered land, sky, and sea. They were invincible. They were eternal. Or so it seemed. Then, 66 million years ago, on what was probably a perfectly normal day, a 6-mile-wide asteroid screaming through space at 45,000 miles per hour slammed into what is now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The impact released energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs detonating simultaneously. Massive tsunamis radiated outward. Earthquakes shattered continents. Volcanic eruptions triggered worldwide. The debris thrown into the atmosphere blocked out the sun for years. The dinosaurs' reign ended in fire, darkness, and catastrophic devastation. Within months, most dinosaurs were gone. Within a few years, all non-avian dinosaurs had vanished from the Earth. The greatest dynasty in the history of terrestrial life had been erased by a random rock from space. Yet here's the haunting question that lingers in the minds of scientists and dreamers alike. Without that cosmic catastrophe, without that random rock from space hitting at just that moment in just that place, would dinosaurs still rule today? Would mammals, including our own ancestors, have ever gotten the chance to emerge from the shadows and evolve into anything significant? Would humans have ever appeared at all? Or would we still be small, furry creatures hiding in burrows, waiting for night to fall before we dared emerge? The dinosaurs story is one of the most remarkable in Earth's 4.5 billion year history. From humble beginnings as insignificant scavengers barely surviving in a hostile world, weighing less than your family dog and running from everything, they evolved into the most successful land animals of all time. They didn't just adapt to their environment. They dominated it, shaped it, controlled it, and ruled it for longer than mammals have even existed. And while the non-avian dinosaurs are gone, extinct for 66 million years, their descendants, birds, still soar through our skies today, living reminders of a dynasty that once shook the world with every footstep. Every time you see a bird, you're looking at a living dinosaur, a survivor of the greatest catastrophe in 66 million years. The age of dinosaurs may have ended in fire, but their legend will live forever. If this journey through deep time amazed you as much as it did me, make sure you're subscribed because we've got more incredible stories from Earth's past coming your way. What extinct creature should we explore next? Megalodon? The first mammals? The creatures that survived the asteroid impact? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. Until next time, keep looking back to understand how incredible our present really is, and how lucky we are that a random space rock gave our ancestors a chance.